The Promethean.
The heat is on. Dun, 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 dun.
The heat is on.
No.
Dun, dun, dun. I like that. I like where you went with that because
See. Yeah.
I'm wondering what was this episode.
I have thoughts.
I have thoughts too, which I'm
Okay.
glad. I mean, this is going to be an interesting conversation because this is definitely a filler episode of Superman the animated
Okay.
series.
Let's not call it a filler episode.
Okay.
A bottle episode.
A bottle episode. Okay, explain what bottle means. I'm trying to wonder because I have never heard that reference when it comes to an episode of something.
You've never heard the bottle episode?
I've always heard filler, but I never heard bottle. Maybe I have. Let me know.
Okay.
What's going on here?
The idea comes from the idea is that the episode is in a bottle. It's a small little thing. It stands on its own. Usually in television production, what happens is that when you make a bottle episode, the idea is that traditionally, no, this doesn't fit for this episode. This fits for this episode because it's like this nice standalone episode, few characters, doesn't reach into anything larger. Yeah. Normally, when we talk about bulbs on television, the idea is that you usually film the entire episode on an existing set, usually one set. You have, one or two or all of your main cast members, and you just, it's like the episode is in a bottle, and you just film it. Usually, it's done to save money. I learned the term from watching Stargate SG-1. Because every season there was a bottle episode to save up money so they could blow their wad on the season finale.
Okay. I know the term because I mean specifically like especially when it comes to like Breaking Bad. Everybody always talks about. Have you seen the Fly episode? Yes,
that was a bottle. Was a bottle episode.
There you go. That
makes sense.
It's
just Walter and
Jesse
in the lab.
Yeah.
And that's all they are.
Like, and it's funny too, because that was definitely what exactly what you were explaining, because it was like, all right, well, we have to have this right here. We're going to have a contained episode that doesn't cost that much. So we can, of course, blow the wad later. But that episode ended up being very, like, a lot of people love that. I love that episode. Like,
it's an amazing episode.
They did such a great episode for something that was supposed to be a bottle episode. So, but it's just funny. So, now I totally understand the term. I just never heard it referred to as a bottle episode. I don't have bottle. I just never heard.
There's actually an episode of Teen Titans Go where Robin explains this to the Titans. It's literally called the bottle episode.
They really actually did.
Yes, they did. Yes.
Of course, Teen Titans does that. Yeah, I love that. But we'll get our thoughts into it. Like I said, it's just it very much is. And I'm not saying that I hate this episode. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it was just kind of like, because last week we were just kind of going, what is this episode?
Right. You couldn't remember the episode.
Yes. At all. Couldn't remember the episode. And before we get started, you're going to have to come in and come back out because you're pixelating again, of course. Jeez. But I'll start saying hi to some people. Ending scene looked like a reference to Planet of the Apes. Okay. Good to see you, Ryan. Hey, Jose, what's happening? Yeah, that's right. And I'm wearing, today I'm wearing my Giants shirt. It's tied right now. I don't know if the game's over, but it's tied 2-2, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, if you guys are following on Twitter, I went to the Dodgers Giants game last night, and of course Jose was there. Well, all right, you're back.
I'm moving.
You're good.
I'm in motion.
You're
like butter.
Fantastic. Yeah, you like butter. But just saying hi to people in the chat.
I was catching Jose, so yeah.
Yeah, Jose. Yeah, we went to a baseball game last night, so and then a filler episode. Okay, no, a bottle episode.
Yeah, filler definitely has a negative connotation.
It does have a negative connotation, I guess. But a bottle, because and I like that better than saying filler. But thank you guys, of course, for joining. I like it better than filler because, like I said, it's not like I think this episode is just shit. It's just like, it's very much contained, and it's very much just this is a thing that Superman and Professor Hamilton, and then of course you have to have a soldier named Hardcastle who's just
I
gonna
know,
be
right? General Hardcastle. I mean, is that not just a amazing, like, on the nose name?
totally. And then it's like, okay, so and I like I liked it. I did like this episode, but it was just like okay, that was it. There's nothing. Okay, cool. That's pretty much it. So that's where I was just like kind of like yeah, again, filler, no. Bottle, I like that. I like that. I just didn't know the term. So there we go.
That's what I'm here for. It's to
That's what you're here
educate you.
for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because yes, right on the right off the right when we get started, we have an asteroid, or it's not like an asteroid that's like just about that's like just headed towards. It's not like Armageddon or Deep Impact or anything.
But you know what? I totally got like Armageddon vibes, especially like when Superman's like planning the charges.
Yeah, because it starts off with like, okay, we have this asteroid that's going to fall, and it's going to, of course, it's naturally it's headed towards Metropolis. So they're up in a spaceship, Hamilton, and then of course this Hardcastle dude. Fuck, I meant to. You know what? I recognize the voice. Who's the voice?
Oh yes. You should recognize the voice.
I know, and I'm like, I couldn't put his. What the frick is his name?
Okay, no, not knowing his name does not surprise me. Because
he's just you hear his voice throughout a lot of things.
Well, he's one of those that guys.
Yes.
Okay. His name. So the voice of General Hardcastle is Charles Napier.
Charles Napier. Okay.
Okay. Now, if you're a fan of Jonathan Demme movies, he basically showed up in like every Jonathan Demme movie. He's like a cop in Silence of the Lambs. Yeah. He's a judge in Philadelphia.
Yes. Okay. Now I know his face. I think.
But a lot of people would probably know him as I got the name. Tucker McElroy in the Blues Brothers. He's the country singer in the Winnebago.
There you go. See, I know. It's just like when you hear that voice of his, you're like, oh my God. Like, yes. Like you just know that voice. You've heard that voice.
You've heard that voice so many times. And when you see his face, you're like, oh, that guy. Like he is since passed, but he was definitely that guy. You look at his credits, it's like he did everything. You know, the one fun piece of trivia for me I found, he was in the pilot episode of Knight Rider.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What, just as a cop or something like that?
I didn't even bother to like look it up. I haven't watched the pilot episode of Knight Rider since like 2004 or something. But because that's also the only episode I remember they constantly let you know what kit was.
Oh, okay.
Like if you don't what the make and model of kit. But because they refer to him as a Trans Am throughout that episode, they never did that again. But yeah, it's a Pontiac Trans Am.
They were like, all right, yeah, this is what it is. Yeah, they were like, I don't even remember that pilot episode, but anyways, but yeah, so we're here, and yeah, obviously we have an asteroid that needs to be destroyed, and like I said, it's like they're doing the whole thing where they're just gonna blow it up, and Hardcastle is one of those guys. He's like, we don't need Superman. He's an alien. Fuck this guy. He has no jurisdiction, and blah blah blah. But I'm like, yeah, but he also has superhuman strength. I mean, he's all powerful.
He can fly in space.
I mean, like the fate of the world is resting on the technology that the world has, and it's just basically just blowing the thing up. And I love how like Superman like just showed like outside the spaceship.
He knocks on the windshield.
Like, hey, I'm here. Sorry, there was an earthquake over in wherever the hell he said.
It was Albania.
Oh, yes, exactly. It's like, yeah, sorry, I was, saving other lives over here. So I'm here to now save, like at least half the world or whatever the hell this damage is going to cause by this rock. And of course, yes, like you said, he starts planting the charges and everything. And then, of course, he goes like, there is something on the
here.
Yes. There's something here. Like, yeah, you got the surface that we see over here and that we're putting the charges on, but you go on the other side, there's a big old Clayface looking motherfucker that is like.
And I didn't even think Clayface. I thought like a golem.
Okay.
No, not Gollum.
Yeah.
A golem, the creature from Jewish folk tales. It's usually. Do you even know what I'm talking about, Dave?
Keep going. Explain.
Okay. I don't know it in great detail, but in Jewish folklore, there's this idea of a basically a mud creature that is imbued with life by like usually like a rabbi or someone, and the idea is that a golem is a protector of a town. So very much the idea of that if there was a Jewish village, that they would have a sort of a protecting spirit for them, and it was called a golem, Golem. And so that's what I thought of when I saw the creature. I also looked at the creature and went, this looks like something Jack Kirby would have drawn.
Yeah,
like
you can see some Kirby in there.
I mean, you see the Kirby, like the shading in the eyes, and then especially in those like the chain stuff that's like holding him to the asteroid. The way that it had like the zigging, it wasn't straight; it was like zigging, and there was some line work on it. That it very much no Kirby crackle. That's the dots, man.
Oh, that's the lines were part of it too. Come on.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just felt like the creature very much had Kirby's aesthetic, and I was digging that. So it was fun.
Hi, Mom. I'm just saying hi to Mom.
Say hi to your mom.
That's important. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I saw her last night too. She was at the game. Had a great time. But I was just thinking when you were talking about the golem, whatever, mud kind of creature or whatever. It was like it's totally just a memory of like I think it might have been the first Ghostbusters comic book or one of the first ones.
Oh,
you remember like the mud creatures that they had to like take on at one point? I don't know. I just remember there was like these mud creatures that they had to take on. I'm like, totally. I would have to like dig because I probably still have those books in my closet.
Interesting.
But there was like mud creatures, and all of a sudden I was like, oh wow. Now I was starting to think about those, and I'm just trying to remember. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I just had that just trigger something in my brain when it came to at least Ghostbusters comic books. I just thought it was so cool because they were like in a swampy, muddy area, and they had to like fight these like mud creatures and shit. And there was like a cool, that centerfold that they have, like of course in comic books. And there was like a cool shot of like all of them just taking on these guys, and they're like in the swamp. And anyways, I'm going off on a whole tangent right here of Ghostbusters.
Why not?
Why not? But we got the Promethean right here.
Yeah, and I think that's a cool name because they never call him that.
They call it the creature.
But okay, I'm gonna nerd out hard some more. Yeah, but do you get the connection of why the episode would be called the Promethean?
No, I have to assume that obviously it has to do with his origin, his backstory, right?
In a way, because the episode never tells us. So my connection was the idea that he's like Prometheus, because remember Prometheus in Greek mythology,
I figured it was something had to do
took
with that.
Fire from the gods and gave it to man. And think about how this creature is powered. He's powered by heat, so the idea of like taking the fire. So he's a Promethean because he steals fire. That's what Prometheus did. So that was kind of my idea of why the episode was called that, even though it's never referenced in the episode.
Yeah, they never. They just kind of which is cool how they kind of do that. How they just kind of be like, hey, I mean, it's called this, but we're not gonna ever mention it. I kind of like that. I kind of like how they didn't just name it that. Like Lex Luthor was like, it's called the Promethean.
It goes back. It kind of goes back to remembering that, like we talked about a lot with Batman the Animated Series. They weren't just writing this for kids. Like that. Like there's no way a kid gets that reference or makes that connection. That's for something for you as an adult to pick up on, because it's just the title of the episode. I mean, I'm amazed by how many people don't pay attention to the credits in movies and shows that, they would even recognize what's going on.
Yeah. Go ahead and come back in. You froze up. You froze up. Like, what the heck? Damn. She must be watching some Netflix. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's all good. But yeah, I do like the fact that they actually were like, instead of just like naming it, they just did that. And you're back.
Buddy, chill out.
Chill. But yes, so then of course we realized that this creature now is like powered by heat, because as soon as obviously Superman is like, all right, he has the idea of like, okay, so if we have this right here, Hamilton is like, hey, there's a creature. It's got a heartbeat. It's got warmth. We got to figure out what to do here. And of course, Hardcastle is like, blow it the fuck up, keep going, because yeah, which I'm kind of with Hardcastle on this part. It's like, yeah, just blow it up. This doesn't look good. But of course, you know, they're not going to do that. And of course, Superman has like the idea of like, hey, let's put it in the Earth's orbit and let's see what we could do with this guy, you know, and stuff. So, and once that happens, the sun peeks over, you know, the Earth, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wake up, creature.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
Exactly. So obviously he wakes up, and then of course he's gonna like escape, and then of course starts heading towards, you know, into the atmosphere, and of course that charges him up too because of all the heat.
But we don't know that yet, which is so cool, because it's like we're seeing it, but we're not being, but we don't have the context for what this means.
Yes.
I'm too busy enjoying the fact of watching Superman's spacesuit like just melt off of him.
I love that too. I was like, okay, so he flies right in, and then of course he's trying to grab onto him as they're like a fireball in the Earth's atmosphere, and yeah, the spacesuit, it just starts melting away, of course,
because this episode has the A-Team animation. The animation of this episode is gorgeous.
It looks good. So yeah, and then of course we get that whole like people on a cruise seeing like, oh my god, a shooting star, which is funny. It's like, well, it's daytime. Maybe if you see it during the daytime, yeah, you might that might be something else. And then especially it's like, well, it is Metropolis. You might want to think it's actually something else with some of the things that have been flying in the sky of Metropolis. And then of course we haven't seen Jimmy this season.
No,
we haven't seen him in a bit.
Jimmy.
And then all of a sudden we get Jimmy and Lois for a brief like what, 9 seconds or something like that.
Just enough to make a fart joke. And,
yes,
you know.
Yeah, we're making a literal shit joke because it's like, yeah, or fart joke, whatever you want to go, like, because yeah, they feel the shock of, you know, obviously the creature landing in the ocean, and so that sends a shock throughout Metropolis. And of course, Jimmy is like, you know, what the hell? And then it's like, I forgot exactly what he says, but of course, Lois
it's boom, earthquake,
something.
And then Lois is like, maybe the chief ate chili again.
Exactly. Or either that or Perry ate chili for lunch again. That's what she said. And it was, yeah, there you go. And then that was it. That's all you get. Easy day for
Dana Delaney. And,
yeah, I know.
And I'm sorry, I don't remember the guy who voices Jimmy. To be honest,
it's fine. But so then it was just kind of funny. It's like, all right, so that. But yeah, I was like realized like we hadn't seen Jimmy in a good minute, so it was nice to see Jimmy again. Of course, we're gonna see him again, but it was just, I was even thinking that last episode. I'm like, when was the last time we saw Jimmy? And then here we go. He's back.
Yeah, because I think last time I can remember was like a Parasite episode, or
yeah, it was the first Parasite episode.
The first Parasite episode,
yeah, where obviously he played a pivotal role in that episode, and maybe they were like, okay, we've had enough Jimmy now for a little bit, maybe, I don't know, who knows what's going on behind that. But so then of course we get the creature walking on the bottom of the ocean. And now we get Superman back in his, you know, scuba or whatever the heck. Not scuba.
Still with the big S.
Yes, of course. We talked about that when it came to, which episode was it? I forgot.
That was the the second. It was the second. It was Two's a Crowd. It was actually the season 1 finale with Parasite. So yeah.
Got to have the S on there. It's branding, folks. Branding. So obviously Superman is trying to find him, and he's finding like the big giant footprints, and then of course, again, not knowing what exactly is powering this creature, you kind of start piecing it together when he comes across a submarine and just starts sucking the energy and the heat out of the reactor of the submarine. So then you're like, oh, okay. Now we're kind of figuring this out a little bit,
because then at least you see his hands glow a little bit red. You see the power being sucked out of the nuclear reactor, and you're like, oh no, that's what's going on. I'm gonna be honest, didn't even remember. Like literally watching this episode for 90% of it was like watching it for the first time almost. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, and then it felt like that for me too. I was like, but and then of course, Superman comes in, intervenes, does his, he's a strong swimmer naturally, and saves the sub. And then of course, Hamilton. This is where Hamilton finally, I mean, he basically has cracked the code and tells Superman. I mean, it's kind of like a quick transition after this whole thing happened, and then it's like, and then all of a sudden we get the backstory that he was built. And it's like, it's a robot. They built it for mainly just like, hey, we got to move things. It's basically just
we have to move mountains.
Yes, literal mountains.
Literal mountains, yes.
But the side effect was that it was just always going to crave more and more heat. So you actually see it like, there's two suns, and it's like, and then it just starts wreaking havoc, wanting to absorb as much heat as possible. And so naturally, it's like, all right, well, I guess we're going to strap it to an asteroid and send it off to space. There you go.
A nice, dark, cold void of space.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
It
makes sense, but it sucks because now it's Earth's problem. And luckily, there's a Superman, or else we'd be fucked. But so, yeah, we get that little backstory, which I thought cool. And then, of course, Hardcastle, and, now he's full on in military gear. He's got the helmet on. He is leading the charge, like, because this thing has finally reached the surface. And, Superman comes in and is like, you realize you're just feeding it. You're feeding it. You're shooting all. And there, I mean, it's creepy, too, when, like, it's just standing there and just
with a blank stare. I mean, well, already it doesn't have pupils, but it's also not even looking at anything. It's just staring off into space.
It's just like, all right, yeah, keep doing that. I'm loving this. It's just like, literally, it's like it's meditating and just, and just absorbing everything that they're shooting at, all the everything, tanks, missiles, bombs, everything that's being thrown at this thing. It is just taking it in, just absorbing it, and just, loving it, of course. And Superman's like, what it's like, what are you doing? I mean, again, Superman dealing with these freaking assholes.
Oh yeah. And then of course the guy shoots like super napalm at it, and that's when everyone goes, oh shit.
Yeah, it's like, I know he talks about, we're gonna be like, let's get the barbecue going, and like Superman's like, yeah, you might want to hold off on the marshmallows for a little bit, and then flies off. Tim Daly again with the lie and being snarky, and just we love it. We love it so much. So then we got that, and then of course when they're attacking, and then it's kind of funny because I love it how like randomly, like after all this is happening, Superman just has like a radio. He's flying.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Where did the radio come from?
Where did the radio come from? I know. I appreciate the fact though that it's like a serious, like it's like a real radio. Like it's
he's like holding it. It's like it's not just an earpiece or something. It's like it was just. I started laughing because I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
I know. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, because obviously, not having success trying to attack the thing. And then, of course, it's like seeing Metropolis and seeing, obviously it's Metropolis, and it's just glowing. And of course, it's attracted to it because it's thinking, okay, there's plenty of things I can, plenty of heat right over there I could see. But it was just so funny. Like he's just flying, and he's like, which is
breaker.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, it's like, it's Metropolis, guys. Get an earpiece. But so we have that, and then of course the creature shows up to like a steel plant or whatever. Obviously, there's like liquid steel and all that. Think of course end of Terminator 2 type of kind of place, yeah, there you go. And that's a perfect place for it, because that's just obviously that's going to be the hottest place of Metropolis right there. And of course it attacks a billion and sucks up some of that heat right there. And then
that's a cool shot though, when it sticks its hand into the molten steel, and then like the steel immediately cools as he pulls the heat out of it. That was awesome.
Pretty good shot. It's a pretty good shot. But Superman mentions that he needed something to happen. And I'm like, this was actually pretty cool and kind of creepy and eerie. Was like the fact that it's like he wanted Hamilton to get in touch with somebody to just shut the power off of Metropolis.
No, the cool thing about that, though, is you haven't caught up on My Adventures with Superman, correct?
I have not.
Okay. There's a very similar moment that happens in an episode of that series. So it was really fun for me watching this episode after just recently finishing My Adventures with Superman, going, oh, that's cool. Like the idea of like shutting all the power down to Metropolis to like
I need to catch up.
To stop the villain. Yeah, they do a similar bit, and it's cool. So I was like, that was just like a more recent reference in my head when this happened in this episode.
I like it. That's pretty sweet. But yeah, it is like eerie. It's creepy. And then of course, because you're seeing it all, and even all like, like the power plant shuts down and everything. You see like the plumes of fire just like go out and the smoke go out and everything's just like quiet. So now it's like, what? Now the creature's like, what do I do? And of course, Superman shows up with a steel beam that he lit up.
Love it. Because he looked like a little firefly.
Yeah, that's exactly what he looks like. That's exactly what he looks like.
Because he's that size. Like in comparison to the creature, Superman is like a bug. So the fact that he uses his heat vision to superheat an end of this steel beam, and it's just this little glowing dot, just flying around in the air, and the creature's like, because the creature's attracted to heat, it's the only heat, it's the only energy around. Is this itty bitty little boop.
There he is. So yeah, this is where we're gonna like show it.
Oh, this is the clip.
This is the clip right here. So, and then of course he saw the moon. So he's like also like, oh, the moon, because the clouds cleared. And now it's like, oh shit. And now he grabbed him. Now he grabbed that little firefly. But yeah, he's looking at the moon like, hey.
And that is so cool with the moon, because he thinks, because it's glowing, that it's giving off heat and energy.
Exactly.
And I love that, the scientific explanation that the moon has glow. It's just reflecting the light. It's the light of the sun bouncing off of it. But the creature doesn't know that.
Exactly. And Superman, uses his wits to blow up those canisters in the boat, cause some heat, divert them over there. Grab it. Can't grab it. Still holding on to Superman. Oh. There we go.
Okay.
Get him.
Okay, here's my moment. Where these planes come from? Suddenly the planes are there.
Well, they showed one plane before that, but that's
I missed it when I was watching it then. Okay.
Yeah, there's like a plane. When you see the boat, you actually see a plane like kind of like, but then of course get him.
Now we skipped over it, but I like the scene where Hamilton explained it's like an instant cold pack when you twist and break them. I love this detail too of Superman using the steel beam to like crowbar his way out of the creature's hand.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to get frozen himself. It's like, woo, so close, so close. You did it.
And that's just such an eerie image of like the hand sticking out of the ice.
I like the music right here and everything.
Oh,
the little shine that they put right there is so creepy. And there's no dialogue either.
No, it just ends.
I love how that ended, because it wasn't like any kind of dialogue, nothing like that. It
no
was like,
exposition. It's just, okay,
we got him.
We got him.
That's it. I mean, it's not. Even though it's like, it's just an episode of Superman that takes on a big, huge creature that was strapped to a fucking asteroid, and it doesn't do anything to like, when it comes to like the overall story, sure. But at the same time, it's a good little, hey, Superman had to take a task on, and him and Hamilton fucking did it.
That's the thing. It has, it has the Chef's Kiss animation team working on it.
Yeah.
And it's just so simple.
Yeah.
It's just big giant. I mean, last week one of the viewers was like, "There's a kaiju," and I'm just like, "Okay, that's not helping me any." Trying to remember this episode.
That's right. Somebody did say that it's like a kaiju. I think it was Ryan Herrera.
It was
Yeah.
Ryan. Yes, it was Ryan.
He's all. I think there's like a kaiju or something that, if you remember correctly, he didn't know. But it's like, yeah, it's kind of kaiju-ish because it's a big, huge creature, but it's not. Obviously, it's not like a scaly reptilian looking like whatever. But I mean, I don't even. What's the definition? Is a kaiju can just be anything that's big, or does it have to be like?
It's a giant
That's just what it is, I guess,
giant
right?
monster. Yeah.
Because I always think kaiju. I'm thinking always like, obviously when it comes to Godzilla and all those kind of creatures,
Right? And all those creatures. Yeah.
The monsters. This is like a robot essentially. It's an alien robot. Yeah,
but still, it's a very simple episode.
Yes,
but but you know what? Because we started off the whole conversation about a bottle episode, but it feels like just an issue of a comic.
Yeah,
the story had a beginning, a middle, and end, and then we were done.
Exactly. Yeah. So like I was like I said at the beginning, I was like, this is just that, and I'm like, but it's not like it's bad. I actually enjoyed this.
I enjoyed this episode a lot.
Yeah, it's just a simple episode.
Simple episode,
yeah.
but also like you're talking about, the ending is just so like, like
what do they do now? They got it. Just and it's funny because what was the Eternals? Didn't they have like a similar like
I haven't seen the Eternals yet.
Oh, because there's literally like one of the what are they called? The I can't even remember what they're called. Like the big, huge creatures like Galactus and all those guys. What are they called?
Oh,
the Celestials or
Celestials. Yes, the Celestials. Yes.
Because like you've probably seen the shot. I mean, there's one point
I've seen the shot. Yes.
There's like one that's like frozen. Of course, his head's out, but you also see like his hand too. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit at the end there. Obviously, you don't see his head, but you see the hand. But I was like, oh, interesting. Maybe somebody was watching Superman the Animated Series when they thought about that. But obviously, those the Celestials are way bigger. But again, it's just it's nothing that's like moving any kind of story or anything like that, or anything that has to do with, I don't know. It's just like you said, and you just said it perfectly. It's just like an issue of Superman. It's an issue of Superman right here.
Yeah, there was a problem. They solved it. We move on. Like and you know what? I love serialized storytelling. Yeah. I adore serialized storytelling. I will be the first one to say that a lot of times, because normally they are filler episodes, as you say, when we used to have like the 22 episode season of shows, I used to get bothered unless it was really good with those one-off episodes, because it felt like, oh, what's the point of this one? But then I go back to my early, like in the 90s, and we were used to like, you watch the episode was done, you moved on, you wait till next week for the next episode. And I feel like that's a lost art of television, is the idea of just, this episode doesn't have to tie into anything bigger. It's just
you're correct with that. You were correct, because it always seems like, obviously when it's the way television is now, it's always like, especially when streaming series, you got like 6 episodes, of something, or 6 or 7 or 8 episodes, and it's all got to be one giant story. It can't just be, you can't just have a one-off, Breaking Bad was like, it was one giant story, but you had that episode, even though it was like, it obviously fit very well within, the timeline, but it was just the fact that it didn't move really the story, the overall story, all that much, except for maybe, with the 2 characters connecting a little bit more.
It moved the characters forward. Yes. It didn't necessarily move the story forward.
And we can kind of take that approach here with Hamilton and Superman. The fact that it's like they came together with like this asshole over here, this asshole,
Oh, by the way, an asshole who we will see again.
Yeah, I think because that name sounded familiar when I heard it. I was like,
Hardcastle will return.
Will return
in
DC animated world. Yes. So, but no, yeah, like I said, it's not a bad episode, and I think after even just talking with you more and watching the clip again, I actually kind of like it more now. Just because
I know. Okay, good. Because the way you started off, I was just like, Oh,
I was kind of like,
are we gonna have fighting words? Are we gonna have fighting words today?
Yeah, and that's what's so great about this was like at first I was like, yeah, it's filler, it's fine. I don't hate it. But now talking about it more, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I like it a little. I like it more now. That's
Yes.
what's so great about this. The back and forth. We end up, liking things more. You have to talk about it with someone who else.
You did that to me. I forgot which episode of Batman.
Oh, yeah.
You did that for
There
me for a
was.
Batman episode.
That's
Yeah.
right. So now we're even. Now you made me like this episode more, and there was I forgot which Batman episode that was, but yeah, I remember that where you were like, you know what, I actually like this a little more now after the discussion. That's what DC Fan-imated is all about, right there, folks. What do we got next week?
Oh. Are you ready? The next episode is season 2, episode 4. Speed Demons.
Speed Demons. Oh, I think I remember this one a little bit. See, that's the thing.
Oh, Dave.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember this one.
Do I need to spoil it for you just slightly?
You don't need to spoil it. You don't need to spoil it.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch it, and then it's probably gonna, because now I'm looking at even at the thumbnail on Max.
Well, the thumbnail tells you nothing. That's what
it shows Superman. It shows Superman. Like I'm like, no. I'm like, fuck. Why? Yeah.
They could have picked a much better thumbnail that totally would.
I mean, obviously, if it's Speed Demons, I'm trying to, like I said, my brain, it's been a long weekend too. So, but yeah, we'll watch that one. And then of course I'll be like, oh yeah, of course, as I usually do.
It's a great episode. Just saying.
I'm sure it is. And I'm sure I'll remember it but like I said, I was hoping that the thumbnail was going to
no, I already looked at the thumbnail. I was like, oh, Dave, you ain't going to get anything from this.
I mean, obviously, I'm not even going to say, obviously Speed Demons, who's going to be in it.
Good. I'm glad you're going there.
Yes. I know there's that at least but I'm just trying to remember the episode. And I'm
this
totally
episode I remember extremely well. I can already tell you a voice that's going to be in the episode that I already know that I'm going to be playing this game. Like I don't even have to watch the episode. I already know who's the voice of what character, and I'm already prepared to make you reach around and kick yourself because you can't remember this guy. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be fun. But I will have to say, though, we cannot do an episode next Sunday. We're going to have to. Yeah. It's my birthday next Sunday.
Well, can't we all celebrate your birthday together?
I know, right? No, I thought about that, but I was like, well, I'm obviously next week and I'll be doing something Saturday, but I'll be doing a family thing on Sunday. So, yeah. So we're not going to do an episode next because I don't want to have to be like, I got to get home and do all this. I don't want to rush all that.
I know. But still, it's like you're going to make me wait for this episode. Seriously?
I know.
Okay.
I'm totally going to make you after talking about it this right now. So, but so next weekend, next Sunday, it's we're not going to be doing DC Fan-imated. Like I said, I'll be doing some family celebration for birthday stuff. And I appreciate saying happy birthday. Of course, Axel said it's Dave's 60th, right? Yeah, just because you're, 10 years old, Droga, and it's fine. It's fine. You could make all the jokes you want. It's perfectly fine. So we won't be doing that. So the following week we'll be back and talking about Speed Demons for sure. But thank you guys for, of course, being a part of this episode. Like I said, it was great because I'm ending this liking this episode more. Thank you, Scott. Now send us off.
Well, of course, you can find me on X at DC Scott DC27. Like you flustered me now. I'm going to script my outro. You flustered me. My heart's all aflutter. Of course, you can find my podcast at DC Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found. We're at Vera, Facebook, YouTube, with the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com. And I want to promote something I'm going to be in soon. I've talked a lot about Lisa's I Love That Movie podcast.
Yes.
I've been on it many times. I am going to go ahead and reveal here that she is doing a series of spooky season episodes.
I like it.
And I'm going to be recording an episode on the director's cut of Dr. Sleep. So make sure that you subscribe to I Love That Movie.
Yeah. Director's cut.
Yes. And you should be subscribing. She's already started off spooky season. She had a guest on. They talked about the Silence of the Lambs. Nice. So I hopped on that. I was like, oh, are we doing a whole thing now? Because I went in on this.
That'll be fun. I got to get in contact with her. Maybe get her on the Vodka stream, or maybe even become a part of one of those two. I would love to discuss some things that are not comic book movies.
That's what I love about doing I Love That Movie is because you look at the episodes I've appeared on. Yeah. I've done comedies, musicals, fantasy, like a James Bond movie. It's like the whole gambit. It's so much fun.
Exactly. Got to do that. All right, guys. Well, we love you. Thank you for spending some time. Like I said, when it comes to DC Fan-imated, we'll see you. See you guys in 2 weeks. Talk about Speed Demons. So have a good next weekend. Of course, Film Junkie Live tomorrow, and the normal week that we do on here on this channel. All right, guys. Love you. Talk to you later.